The 13th key to peak performance selling is handling objections effectively. The fact is that objections are good. Objections indicate interest. Successful sales have twice as many objections as unsuccessful sales. To handle objections effectively, you should hear them out completely without interrupting. Remember, listening builds trust, even with objections. You should complement the objection by saying, "That's a good question. Let me see if I can answer it for you." Here are 3 responses you can use to any objection. First, you can pause, smile, and then ask the words, "How do you mean?" This question is almost impossible not to answer. You can use it over and over again in a sales conversation. How do you mean? Or, how do you mean exactly? Another response to an objection can be, "Obviously you have a good reason for saying that. Do you mind if I ask what it is?" Often the customer does not have a good reason for objecting, and this will help to clarify that. You can alternate this question with the question, "How do you mean?" Or, "Obviously you have a good reason for saying that. Do you mind if I ask what it is?" The third way you can handle objections is by using the feel, felt, found method. When a customer says something like, "It costs too much," you can reply by saying, "I understand exactly how you feel. Others felt the same way when they first heard the price, but this is what they found when they began using our product or service." You then go on to explain that the benefits to the customer are greatly in excess of the added cost that the customer has to pay. Feel, felt, found. One final point with regard to objections. Fully 94% of sales in America are made on a non-price basis. Virtually every objection on the basis of price, therefore, is made for a reason other than price. Your job is to find the real reason. The 14th key to peak performance selling is closing the sale. Your ability to ask for the order at the end of the sales presentation or at the end of the sales process is absolutely essential to your success. Fortunately, tens of thousands of sales conversations have been videotaped, and we now know exactly how the highest paid salespeople close sales most of the time. There are 3 methods you can use. Before you close the sale, you ask this question. "Mr. Prospect, do you have any questions or concerns that I haven't covered so far?" If the customer says no, you can then lean forward and confidently ask for the buying decision. The first way to ask for the buying decision is the simplest of all. You say, "Well then, why don't you give it a try?" This is a disarmingly effective closing technique. Or, if you sell services, you can say, "Why don't you give us a try?" Or you can even say, "If you like it, why don't you take it?" You then reinforce this by adding the words, "and I'll take care of all the details." Often a customer didn't know how much he or she wanted it until you offered to take care of all the details. The second closing technique you can use is called the Directive Close. You use these words with the Directive Close. You say, "Well then, the next step is this." You then go on to describe the plan of action, and you wrap up the sale just as if the person had said, "I'll take it." You can also add the words, "and I'll take care of all the details." This is the most popular closing technique used by the highest paid salespeople in every industry. The third closing technique is called the Authorization Close. At the end of the sales conversation, you take out your order form, place a check mark next to the signature line, push the order form across the desk, and say these words. Well then, if you'll just authorize this, we'll get started right away. Sometimes the customer didn't even know how badly he or she wanted it until you offered to get started right away. Remember, the future belongs to the askers. The future belongs to people who ask for appointments, ask for information, and ask for the order. Never be afraid to ask for what you want. This is the key to making sales.